Hello! Welcome to The Healing Artist. I'm your host, Frida, and friends, today I have an unbelievable treat for you. Something that I actually thought would never happen, and yet here we are. Ask, and ye shall receive. My husband, Coire, is joining us today. He is coming in as a pinch hitter in this episode for us. We have been on vacation, visiting family in Indiaki, which is the nice way of saying we're on the Indiana side of
Kentuckiana.
There's an episode that airs tomorrow. I didn't have a guest, and I said, husband, would you fill in? And he said,
yeah, sure. I mean, we've also been talking about this for a long time.
So
it's not coming out of nowhere.
True. My amazing, glorious husband, who you hear about all the time. I told him I mentioned him about 70% of the episodes. I usually say my husband or Coire, is a musician and a writer and creative. And he's making the, like if you're watching this, he's making little quote signs. But to me, I think that he's one of the most creative humans I've ever met. He is the most creative human I've ever met. And an amazing manifester in the world. He falls asleep at night and wakes up with the sounds of songs in his head and then turns them into reality. He goes into his room and makes music. It is just incredible to me. And he wrote the opening song for our podcast here, and he wrote the end song for our podcast. He's written some like high frequency meditation music to go in the back of some scripts that I've run, meditation scripts, and yeah, he makes music, and I wanted to share it with you, and here he is to do so. Without further ado, my husband, Coire.
Hello. Happy to be here. In my house.
It is early on a Sunday morning. He is being incredibly kind, and we are going to have coffee while we do this. So, Coire, when did you first get interested in music?
I mean, I've been interested in music my entire life, starting off with probably the first artist that I ever truly got really into was Weird Al Yankovic. And I was just like absolutely in love with him. I was the perfect demographic, growing up with him. But one of the things I realized later in life is that he was a perfect conduit for getting anyone interested in all sorts of different kinds of music.
Oh, that's funny.
Because he's, he parodies all sorts of things. He makes his own music based on, pastiches of other types of genres and all that stuff. He creates a lot of his own original music based on like, I'm going to do a Devo song or, I'm going to do a, whatever song. And so it's a really good way for, I think, just anyone to get interested in all different kinds of music and stuff. And so like I think that explains a lot about
I've never thought of him that way, but you're absolutely right. And how old were you when you were investigating him?
Oh, like 8, 9, 10, and carried on a lifelong love of him. I sort of branched out to other things as well, but like being a 9-year-old boy is kind of like Weird Al Yankovic's prime demographic. So.
Well, and I love that he's still kicking out the hits.
Yeah, he's become sort of a legacy and stuff. Like he's a legacy act now at this point. People still really like him, and he's still doing. And he's also just one of the like least problematic people in the entertainment industry too. Just a overall nice guy.
Yes.
We desperately need more of.
When did you decide to take it into your own hands and actually start bringing music forward into the world? Because I know you've always heard music in your head. It's stuff that we've been together 18 years. And you used to wake up back in the day, even when you were up in the Kensington house, and you'd have a song in your head. When did you decide to bring songs forward into our 3D reality from your dream state? When did this begin to happen?
So I was always interested in music, and then even as a teenager and stuff, I grew up in the local like hardcore and punk scene. That's where I made most of my friends that we're still friends with, and that's a lot of people that we were visiting with when we were back traveling and stuff.
Kentuckiana.
Yeah, it's all those kids from the punk shows and stuff that I'm still friends with, and I was interested in taking like music lessons and stuff, and so I took keyboard lessons in like middle school, and then guitar lessons in like high school and like a little bit in college and stuff, and it just never clicked because it's a lot of rote. It was a lot of rote memorization, and it was a lot of dexterity in like the fingers and stuff. Like it wasn't interesting to me. It wasn't like the actual art of creation. It was the art of like memorizing where to put your fingers, how to move in a certain way and all that. What I realized later, I'm entirely self-taught at this point. I've only been doing this for a few years now, 4 or 5 years. It was just as a pandemic like project that I decided to start like diving into like learning music theory. One of the things I realized is that back when I was being taught, and this is one of the things that I would say to any teachers or anything like that, music teachers that are listening or whatever, teach your kids music theory. Like they're not too underdeveloped for it or whatever. It is the code that breaks how it's done. I mean, I've always loved music. I always listen to a ton of music. And I've always seen it as some sort of like magical, mystical thing that like, how do you even do that? And I learned music theory. You can learn music theory in 2 hours on watching music videos, like the broad strokes of it all. I mean, you can dive in and, have doctorate degrees in it if you really want to, but like learning the broad strokes of it is really easy to do. But what I realized is like the way that I was taught music is kind of like teaching someone to do crossword puzzles in a foreign language. So it's like, put the words here, put the letters here, but like you don't actually understand the language or the words of it or the clues of it.
Yeah.
But once you teach someone the language, then you can start making the crossword puzzles, and it starts to make a lot more, sense.
During the pandemic, one of the background noises of my life was music theory videos.
Yeah.
For like quite some time. In fact, occasionally there's still musical theory videos happening.
Yeah,
you
I
have
love it.
You have one, I guess, there a YouTube channel or a podcast too, where they go through a song and break it down. And whenever they make a video, they're always up again in the background of the house.
Yeah, no, it's still like a lot of my YouTube feed is still just music theory stuff or whatever. And even if it's stuff that I already know, it's just still fun to just
That's
watch.
Interesting that that's what you honed in on, because it was less so that I'm going to specifically learn this technical skill of XYZ in order to bring forward. It was like, I'm going to learn how to bring forward, and then you create music just by poking around at it.
Yeah.
To get as close as you can.
Yeah, more or less. Yeah, it never ends up the way that you immediately imagine that it's going to be. But yeah,
same with art too, right?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Visual art too.
Yeah.
It never really comes out the way that I think it might start. But I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh no. You were just gonna say like, yeah, I've dreamt in music my entire life, and in the last 4 or 5 years, now that I have kind of the tools to be able to create some of those things, I will like wake up and just start like recording on my phone, and I'm just mumbling to myself. My throat is hoarse from sleeping. There's sound machines going. Or narcissistic with sound machines, and it's just like me, just like saying the beat or like mumbling lyrics or whatever into a phone or whatever, just to catch like some of the rhythm of things. Every once in a while, there are like existing songs that already exist, and like I listen to it back, and I'm like, oh wait, no, that's a whatever song. But then a lot of the songs, I would say probably close to half of the songs that I actually make come from like dreams. And it's even gotten to a point where, so I'm a lucid dreamer.
All of this is remarkable to me, by the way. This is so interesting. But yes, please continue.
I've been a lucid dreamer my entire life, and I will often be in my dream, and I can hear the music, and I can just be shaping the music with my mind or whatever. And I know that I'm lucid dreaming. I know that I'm making the music, and then so I will pick up my phone in my dream to start recording the music that I'm making in my dreams. But now I've kind of caught on to that, and I'm like, oh wait, this isn't my actual phone. This won't actually be recorded when I wake up. So I'll have to like just force myself to wake up, and then actually reach for my actual phone and like try to get as much as I can down.
So all of this recording and getting it down into the cell phone happens without my knowledge, because I'm a morning person in a way where I'm up and started long before you are, in that 4 a.m. club of existence, because I go to bed so early. But this is just so interesting to me. What are the tools that you are using, or that you've found and discovered in the last 4 or 5 years, that you use to bring this music into reality? How do you create?
So one of the things is I realized, I mean, I can play a little guitar. I don't enjoy it, but I have it.
We have a lefty guitar.
I have a lefty guitar.
This
Yeah.
is a lefty.
And I had to sell my original lefty guitar for gas money when I moved out here, 20 years ago or whatever. And then I ended up like not getting it until, 4 or 5 years ago, when I was getting back interested in making music. And I play a little guitar, but for the most part, it's electronic music. I've just found that, I'm not so much interested in being able to physically reproduce the music, like playing a keyboard or playing a guitar or whatever. I'm just like interested in like writing it and programming it. And so if I can just like put it as a dot or a square in a thing that plays the same way every time, and then I can manipulate it that way, that just like makes a lot more, sense to me. So I use Ableton Live, which is a very popular program. I think I'm going to start, if I look again, I'm going to look into, I believe it's Bitwig, which I think is like worker created, worker owned. And they kind of split off from like the Ableton crew and stuff. So there's a lot of like, a lot of the knowledge from Ableton, I think we'll be able to go over. I could be wrong about that, but I think that's right. I always want to try to support those kind of efforts. And then I use a thing called Analog Lab for like the majority of my sounds. It just has this incredible library of recreated and simulated sounds from all of these old synthesizers and keyboards from the like 1950s to 1990s, maybe even the early 2000s or whatever. And so it's a lot of these things that used to be, physical keyboards and synthesizers and all that stuff that they've recreated as a virtual interface and stuff. So you're getting a lot of those like, old school retro sounds or whatever. But, I have access to hundreds of them. So instead of, stacking our garage full of, hundreds of, physical synthesizers and all that stuff, you can just have it in a program and stuff.
But one of your favorite recording artists of all time is Dan Deacon,
Yeah.
who actually
does have that, yeah.
But you
Yeah,
then take that and do that with the computer and these programs.
Yeah, I've seen videos of his home where he just has all four walls of a room completely surrounded by like all these synthesizers and knobs and wires and lights going everywhere and stuff like that. I'm like, that is a next level genius that I don't know. I again, at the end of the day, I'm self-taught. I just did it for the few years and I'm very much a hobbyist. Like, I don't have a ton of time to spend making music, but so when I do, I enjoy it.
Well, as the wife, you're one of the happiest times for you is when you're making music and then you listen to your song back, and when you get to the stage where you're ready to share it with me. And I don't know, it feels like just a real insight to you and a peek inside. And I love that you do it. I love that you spend time doing this because it's a beautiful creative process for you and you're really creating something beautiful in the world.
And I'm mostly making it for myself. I mean, I post stuff online, but like nobody listens to it. But like I'm mostly just making it for myself and my enjoyment. Except I think the big exception here is your intro theme, if you want to segue into talking about how that came about.
Yeah. So Corey wrote my intro theme. I simply asked him, would you write my intro theme? To which he said,
yes. And what's the starting point? Like what kind of an intro theme do we want? Do you remember what you said your intro theme starting point was?
Yeah. So one of my favorite albums when I was a kid was, I had a cassette tape of Alice in Chains' Jar of Flies, which is one of their more acoustic albums. It definitely sounds different than a lot of their other work. And but it was really one of my favorites when I was maybe 11 or 12 years old. I listened to it a lot. So I forget which song it was. Was it the Rotten Apple song?
Oh, I was hoping you would remember.
Oh, yeah, it's like mixed with, I think I told you, like skipping through a forest after it rained and there's fairies.
So, I think if you would have held a gun to my head, before this and said, does your wife know a single thing or anything at all about Alice in Chains? I would have absolutely said no. And it was not what I was expecting as the inspiration for the podcast was Alice in Chains. That was kind of the opposite of what I was expecting. And so But
do you understand why I picked it? Because I love transition stories.
I think it turned out well. Yeah.
Yeah, but I love stories of like moving from darkness to light, and it's just sort of like,
yeah, I thought it was going to be like,
skipping through the forest is the happy part, but like there's like, we're in the time of the fall of the freaking empire.
I thought it was gonna be like that Hummingbird song, or like Cher, or ABBA, or something like that. It's like the starting point. No, it's Alice in Chains. And so I just looked up the song. I'm not familiar with Alice in Chains personally, and so I listened to the song a couple times, and then looked up the sort of key that the song is in. I can't remember off the top of my head. I probably should have looked it up, but it's a minor key. I usually work in major key, but like I was like working in minor key on that, and and then you wanted a something to happen in the song. So I mean, a transition, and to start off kind of. Oh, I think the other thing too was like it ended up being. I can't remember if this is something we discussed, but it ended up being a little X-Files-y.
Oh.
Like there's a little bit of X-Files like theme in there, which is like one of Frida's favorite TV shows of all time.
Yep.
So there's a little bit of like X-Files vibe in there. But yeah, it starts off kind of in one place that's like kind of deeper down and darker or whatever, and then it gets brighter and lighter, and you know, at the end. And I remember like when we were like listening to iterations of it, it was a lot to cramp back into 20 seconds or whatever. But I remember when we were listening to iterations of it, like, and we got to the end, and Free was like, "Sparklier!" At the end, it's like, "Oh yeah," let me put in a sparkle, and "Sparklier!" And it's like, "Oh yeah," and so we kept adding sparkles until at one point, I was like, "I think we're gonna start like clipping out here or whatever if we added any more sparkles and stuff."
I loved it, and then the outro music is all sparklier because we're like leaving on like a high note. Yeah. Well, let's listen to some of your music. Do you have a song that you'd be willing to share with us?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's like two. So one of the big things with me too is I've never been very happy with my vocals, with my singing voice. It's also not something I've ever really practiced very much or anything like that. I don't go around, singing. I'm singing in my head, but I'm not like singing out loud and stuff. And so this one, Color Birds, was me really trying to lean into the discomfort of my own vocals, and so like the vocals are really like kind of the centerpiece of it, and there's a lot of overlapping vocals and all that stuff, and so like I was really this is more of like an exercise. Like I'll often, like when I'm starting a song, give myself a challenge for the song, or like a restriction, put it into a box or something like that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so like one of them, I made a song that was just one chord. Because I watched like a YouTube video that was like songs with only one chord, which is kind of a common thing in like hip hop or whatever. But in most like sort of Western music, there's various chords and chord progressions and all that stuff. And so I made a song that was just all just one chord, and ended up doing variation with like time signatures and all that stuff instead, and rhythms and whatnot. This one was me really like, okay, focus on the vocals, focus on the voice, and all that.
Yeah, so I know that's hard for you. Yep. I usually go take a walk. He's like, I want to do some singing, and I'm like, okay, how long would you like?
That's how self-conscious I am, that I am still self-conscious singing in the other room, with someone that I've been with for nearly half my life at this point. I'm still self-conscious about it, and so I like to kind of be by myself when I'm doing the singing still. Maybe that's something I can work on releasing.
All right, let's listen.
Stay a tiny prayer.
right. Tell me about that one.
So we decided to do like 2 songs for this, and I kind of wanted to have 2 opposite ends of the extreme basically with it. So this one took me like way too long, and I was I was stuck on this song for a long time, but I wasn't stuck in the like writer's block kind of way. It was more of just like I kept working on it, and like editing and just doing everything for like months with it, to the point where I like just got pretty sick of it.
Just like a job.
Yeah, basically.
You got one life.
And it was like ridiculous. It's like I'm spending months here working on like 2.5 minutes or 3 minutes of content or whatever. But in the original version was like more. It was like through composed, which means like think of like Bohemian Rhapsody is like one of the most famous like through composed songs, where it's like it just has a bunch of different parts and none of those parts repeat, and it just kind of like all these it goes through the different things. And at one point in the middle of it, I was like, I'm not gonna do through composed. I'm just gonna go back to sort of the standard verse, chorus, verse. So it changed forms a lot of different times.
Can you share some of the lyrics?
I don't know off the top.
Oh, okay. Because like I can hear them, but it's like you have one life and it's mine.
Mine, yeah.
It's mine.
Yeah. And you've got to stay a tiny prey, Prey. It's multicolored birds of prey, circling far up above the fray. Multicolored red and blue birds of prey. Yeah. I don't know. It's not. I don't think it's terribly subtle, but this it was about my dissatisfaction with the 2-party system in America, basically. That's not even a 2-party system. It's basically just all the same. It's all the same system. It's all run by money, and we all gotta be prey for capitalism, for the wild beast of capitalism that constantly needs to be fed. You have one life, and you don't get to do what you want with your life. You get to do what they want.
Right. Well, here at the Healing Artist, I actually disagree with that.
Sure. Yeah. No. You're working on the solution. I'm just identifying the problem. Like that's like. I'm not saying it's a done deal or it has to be that way.
However, I do think it points to one other thing as your wife, because we made choices in our family to structure our lives in such a way where you are operating in that system in order to give me the freedom and opportunity to operate in mine. Mm-hmm. Like Coire gave me a gift 6 years ago and said, yes, go within, figure your stuff out, go do your healing work and really get right with you. We'll figure it out, and he's been supporting us for 6 years, as this now my business begins to form and all of that sort of stuff, and eventually hopefully will take off in a way that I'm helping as well, but like he's operating in that system in order for me to begin to create the blueprint to break out of it. So there is sort of like something that we do have to go hand in hand with that to a certain extent.
I think that's
at this point.
I think it's a good segue into the next song too.
Ooh, all right, let's see. What's the next one?
So the next song was, and this one also came from a dream where I was, mumbling stuff into my, recorder in the morning, and but this one was the complete opposite, where this was, whereas the previous song took me, months. This one I specifically did in one day. Ooh. I did everything from like recording in the morning to recording the mumble in the morning, all the way to finding the sounds, creating the chord progressions, doing all the notes, lyrics, vocals. Everything got done in one day. There was a little bit of like final mastering and stuff that got done on like a second day, but like basically this one was just came out, and it's a lot more simple of a song. But I also, I don't know, I like it, and some of my friends have liked it. So,
and what's this about?
And this one was about me reacting to like your woo world, basically, and sort of the changing dynamics that we have within our marriage, as your interests and talents and all that come online. And I'm a lifelong sort of cynic and skeptic and all that stuff, and so this was just came out about me reacting to that.
Yes, he has taken it pretty well that I've started hooking up with the Unitarian Universalists. He's been pretty okay with that.
I have strong opinions on churches.
All right, let's listen to this song.
I also forgot the biggest part of it is I was writing this when I had a sty.
I was just like, yeah, and then I was remembering back. You had a sty on your eye for a while.
It became 2 sties.
Oh, yeah. Looking through my sty eye. What are the lyrics?
Looking through my sty. Oh God, why can't I remember the lyrics?
Looking through my sty eye, or something. How can I see through my third eye when I'm looking through my sty eye?
Yeah. Well, yeah, and it's about me like having like loss of one of my eyes, and you over here with your third eye open wide, basically. I've sort of struggled my whole life with being a creative person, but never sort of having that as my primary income source or job or whatever. And it's, always, it used to cause me a lot more sort of like turmoil and all that stuff. I always sort of figured that I was going to be like a professional creative or whatever. And early in the pandemic, I just had this realization of why am I giving this added pressure to myself? It creates this pressure and blockage on even just the creative process of thinking about stuff or even getting stuff done or whatever, when I'm giving this additional, like, it has to make money. It has to, like, when am I going to, like, find an audience, do it for other people, blah, blah, blah. And early on in the pandemic, I was just like, no, I'm just going to do it because it's fun. And it's something you had been telling me to do for years. Just do it because it's fun. And sometimes you just need to hear stuff for a long time before it finally clicks. And so I was like, oh, yeah. And so then after that, I was, got back into writing, which I hadn't done for a little while. And that's when I decided, oh, you know what? I'm actually just going to like learn how to make music on my own and just be self-taught. And it's all on YouTube. You can just learn it. So yeah, that was, so I would encourage like other people to think of that if they're struggling with that as a creative person in this sort of like difficult capitalist, hellscape that we unfortunately have to live in.
In the fall of the patriarchy.
Sure. Yeah.
I think it's the fall of patriarchy.
I hope it is.
Yesterday we were at the No Kings March, just in our general area. We weren't at one of the big ones, but they were probably, we think, maybe 300-ish people. Mm-hmm. One of the ladies there said she was counting 600, although to me that number seemed a little high.
Seemed high, but
I like that. I like that estimate. But we had just such a wonderful day, and it was so cool to see so many people out and then come home and scroll through Instagram, Threads, TikTok, seeing online just people out in droves, 7 million. What a joy. Uh-huh. What a joy. Yeah. It does. It gives a lot of hope and inspiration. And then waking up this morning to seeing the President of the United States posting an AI video of himself as dressed up as a king, dropping dookie all over the protesters in the streets. That's the fall of the patriarchy, my friends. That's the end of the empire. It looks different than we thought it was going to look. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, you guys. I really am grateful for you having the bravery and courage to share your music in this way. And also just sharing that message of trying something and trying something just for yourself, because I do think we can get caught up in, I myself get caught up in, what is this business good for? What is this podcast good for? Like, it's like, oh, I've got 70 YouTube followers, like that kind of sort of like getting caught up in that. It's like, no, I genuinely enjoy sitting behind a microphone and running my mouth. I never thought I would do that. I never thought I'd be any kind of public speaker.
No,
ever.
not at all. Or small business owner or anything like that. Like, these are not things that you ever thought you were going to.
I have a ledger where I'm keeping my taxes. Like, this is stuff that I never thought was possible for me, right? Yep. Well, why am I doing that? It has to, the numbers aren't there and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, because I like it. Because I want to. So yeah, bringing that forward is like, well, what's fun for you? Is it fun? Because there is the truth is in the joy. The truth is in following our bliss and unlocking that joy, and then also remembering that us following our fun, like that is the point of everything. And no one can take away that inner joy, that inner spark. And if you get it from going in your room and playing music, that's yours. Yep. Yeah. So thank you.
Sure.
Thank you for your courage, bravery, and sharing. Coire, I wanted to tell you that I love you.
And I love you too.
God, universe, source loves you, and I hope you have a wonderful day.